What's up, everyone? Welcome to the second episode of Tactical Minds podcast. Today, we're going to be going over my experiences in the military, just a quick little overview, and a little bit more of getting to know me on the military side of things. So, without further ado, I joined the military at 18 years old. Again, didn't really know what to do, didn't want to go to college. I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps. He was in the Air Force, so I wanted to do something along the lines of what he did. I joined as an infantryman at the very beginning of when they first allowed females to go into combat roles. So I had picked the infantry, which was a bad choice, I would say. Looking back on it, I should have chose something that could have benefited me coming out of the military, but everything happens for a reason. I very much enjoyed being an infantryman, kind of. My body and stuff would say otherwise, but I joined at 18. Right after I graduated that summer, I just prepared my body mentally and physically to join the military, to handle rucks, everything in between that you do in the military. I left in August. I had enlisted in June, so I was in the delayed entry program. Um, my first thoughts of getting on that plane to go to basic was like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like, I was nervous, but I was excited, It was my first time being away from home by myself. I joined also to help, I guess, my relationship out at the time. I thought that it would be a good option for the both of us, which every 18-year-old in a relationship usually thinks that at the time. So I got to basic, went to Fort Benning, got there. I had shaved my head and I was skinny. I looked, I looked pretty rough going. Being the first female, being the first female that arrived in the bus that I was in, there was pretty much no other female in sight. So I had to get changed in like a closet pretty much, while everyone else got changed in their bays and stuff, and they finally put me where I needed to be, which that was a little bit of a shock. And I just laid in my bunk at like 3 a.m. is when I finally got to lay down. And I won't lie, I had a couple tears fall because I was already homesick. Um, Fast forward, I got to my training company, and it was the first female integrated basic company. Um, so all the drills were still getting started and trying to figure it out themselves. Um, so it was quite an experience. There was about maybe 30 females, give or take, in the entire company. So it was a lot of drama filled, I would say. Training, I fractured my hip in basic about halfway through, a little towards the beginning, and I had no choice. I gave myself no other choice. I had to push through, and I did. I don't know how. I'm definitely feeling the effects of it from pushing through it, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So finally that healed, which it was a fracture. That's what a lot of females came down with, was just from all of the weight being on your hips. It was just too much for the way the female body was made. So unfortunately, I was one of those that had fractured their hip. That was just about really the only major injury that I had, besides my knees, my feet. I got my nose broken towards the end by a drill sergeant that was like 2 times my size, definitely like maybe 230. Punched me straight in the face. Like, the way he punched me, my nose could have like went straight up into my brain and killed me, which I don't know how it did it because there was just blood pouring. I really wish I could have gotten a picture of it, but you know, it is what it is. Snapped it back into place. I've never seen a drill sergeant lose their come out of character. Like, he was actually like really proud of me for being able to take a punch, and of course asked if I was okay. Then after that, he went back into character, but I think that was like one of my proudest moments in the military, at least in basic. Um, Halfway through, there were rumors starting to swirl that those getting stationed at Fort Carson were going to get deployed. So I was one of the lucky ones to get put into Fort Carson. It was either Fort Carson, Fort Bliss, or Fort Campbell. I went to Carson. Got to my unit. Everyone was pretty much off to block leave at that time because I graduated in November. Got there, and it took about 2 weeks to fully in process to my unit. I went to a 1-8 infantry battalion, and man, I was scared shitless. Like, it was the real deal. It was the real army now. Everyone was yelling at you, like you were getting smoked every day for things that you didn't know. You just got smoked. But it's just something that everyone went through at that time. Um, I was one of the lucky ones that didn't have to go to NTC with my company, so that was great. Got in process to my unit, and then got to go on holiday block leave. Saw my family for the first time since leaving for basic. So that was good. Um, I don't really remember much of it. I drank a lot, I got people to buy me alcohol, and I just drank, and that's where my addiction, I guess, started to take off a little bit. But holiday block leave came and went. I went back to my unit. We did a little bit more training, a lot more smoking, or getting smoked, I should say, for those who aren't in the military. And then from there, it was just getting ready for deployment, getting in that mindset that we are going to a hostile environment, nobody knew really what to expect. So we were getting ready to be in the mindset like, oh, we're going to Iraq, we're gonna see some cool shit, do some cool shit. Um so we left February February 26th. We left country, and on the about 18-hour flight to Kuwait, I slept a lot. That was the loneliest flight. That was the loneliest I'd ever felt in my life. Like, man, like, I am leaving everything I knew. My family is going to be thousands of miles away from me. But I was ready to do what I had trained to do, which that was essentially go on deployments and do what an infantryman does. So we get there, spend about 2 weeks in processing at Kuwait, uh, and then we finally got orders to go into Iraq, which, funny story, which is not really funny, but it is now. It wasn't in the moment. Me being a private, I had been issued 2 pairs of nods, which are night vision goggles. Uh, and my dumbass left one on the counter where they were signing them out to. I had 1 pair on me and left 1 pair on the counter in this Connex. And eventually everyone was done. They were done signing out nods to everyone. They closed it up. We did a nods check, and I only had 1 pair. And my team leader, my squad leader, like, well, where the fuck are your other set of nods? And my heart sank. I like checked both of my cargo pockets. I'm like, oh shit. Like, only have one. So they went back in there, found them, and I got smoked for about an hour, 2 hours. While everyone went to chow. It was around 1500 at this time, as we were waiting for the buses to pick us up to take us from Camp Buring to uh I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. An Air Force base in Kuwait. So while everyone was going off to chow, I was getting smoked. I was doing push-ups, anything, like my sweat was dripping in the sand. I almost threw up a couple times. So that was my welcome to deployment moment right there, which anyone who has been in the military and checks their pockets and doesn't feel their nods knows the feeling that I'm talking about, which if you lose a sensitive piece like that and you don't find them, the whole base essentially shuts down and looks for that piece of equipment and until it's found, pretty much. So finally the smoking stopped. We got on the buses to go get on the planes to head to Iraq. And it was just hurry up and wait. So we finally get on the Chinooks, and everyone's like, this is go time. We're finally heading to Iraq. Eventually, we get into Iraq airspace, and you're like, oh shit, like, I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd be there. Um, Deployment, we went to Iraq and Syria. Our main goal slash mission was to just have a presence there. We had gone to the Mosul Dam, which is the biggest dam, I believe, in the Middle East. And they were worried about threats made to the people that were working on the dam to try and fix it. Because if anything happened with that dam, it was going to flood pretty much all the way from where we were at to probably the other side of Iraq, which we were in northern Iraq. That dam breaking could have drowned everyone from northern Iraq to southern Iraq. So it was a pretty big deal. Um, we went to we got done with our time in Iraq in July. So we were there for about 5 months, I'd say. Finally got back to Kuwait, and from my memory, we were sort of QRF for the time being. So we got orders. My company got orders. Half of them were going to Turkey to train with the Turkish military. The other half was going to go to Syria. It was sort of like a need to know basis as well. Um, we weren't really told where we were going, so that's how you knew sort of that it was a no shit operation, I guess you could call it. So we were there for about, we went in August or September, I believe, and then came back around October time when Trump was in his first term and had ordered all of the US soldiers to pull out of Syria. Um, so we got back home, or got back to our Kuwait, excuse me, October. So we had about a month of November to sort of sit on our ass in Kuwait and wait to go home. Finally, we got orders to go home. We finally got a date, and it was November 16th, my birthday, that we were physically going to get on the plane and go home. So that was a very good feeling, like we were finally over it. Like it was the longest 9 months of my life. But, some of it was good, some of it was bad. I had, by the time we had come home, I was in such a bad space mentally. Like I was just trying to commit suicide. I was trying to unalive myself towards the end of deployment. And I had to be talked to off the ledge pretty much every night by my team leader, which I thank the heavens for him, because I wouldn't have been able to make it without him. And the physical injuries were piling up. I was having a hard time even just walking. So it all happened the way it should have happened, I guess. Oh. Coming home, it was bittersweet. I was glad to be home, but nothing was what it seemed. We all tend to paint a picture of what coming home will look like. Everyone that's been on deployment can relate, I'm sure. That's just all you look forward to, is coming home and seeing your family, and then you come home and it's not what it seems. It's not what you painted it in your mind to be. And that was the case for me. Um so we got home. I was already in a bad headspace. The same day we got home, I found out I was being cheated on. And that was the tipping point of everything. I went into a full panic mode. I just lost my mind. There's been about 2 times in my life where I've completely lost my mind, and that was the first time. I was just a mess. I did anything I could to try and unalive myself. I drank freaking Dayquil, NyQuil, drank whole bottles of it to try and end it all, because I was just in so much pain emotionally. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to be here anymore. So I essentially made the decision myself to check myself into the hospital, um, just to avoid decisions that I would make that I'd probably regret later. So, checked myself in the hospital. I was there for about, I think the minimum was like 3 or 4 days. And it helped me, but damn, that was a fucking riot in there. Like, there were some people that were talking to themselves, like, well, dude, like, what the hell did I check myself into? Like I know I want to kill myself, but I'm not crazy, which, I'm sure they had their own stories and reasons why. that they were there. So I got out. I was still in a bad headspace, but it was a good mental break for me for the couple of days that I had no communication with anybody and was just actively working on myself and getting the help that I needed. Um, but I just all of that was something that I could not come back from. I just emotionally couldn't work through it anymore. Like I tried to unalive myself so many times, more than I can count. I had checked myself into the hospital more times than I can count. I'm sure my leadership was tired of it at that point, waiting in the emergency room with me, all for them to just send me home. Um, Mainly because I didn't want to go to the hospital and again because I don't know, it was a rough experience to say the least. So I had essentially become the the detail bitch because I couldn't handle my weapon anymore because I was trying to unalive myself constantly. And I was doing therapy, and essentially I gave up. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. So after about 6 months, a year-ish, to going to appointments every week, multiple times a week, trying to fix myself to continue my job, nothing helped. I was on about 3 or 4 different medications at the time. So eventually they started the process to get me out, which it was what I needed at the time, but I wish I would have tried to push through a little bit harder. So I get out of the military. Um, I come home. I thought that it would fix everything, but it really didn't. So, in that time frame, COVID had just started as well, so we had to like pretty much stay in our barracks room for about 5 months. We had to do like online training, pretty much FaceTime each other, do push-ups, sit-ups, anything. Go through over go over our everything we need to know as an infantryman. Um, so once I admitted that I needed help, they had put me into a substance abuse program, which then finally leadership was like, well, why do we have a 20-year-old in a substance abuse program? And they sort of figured it out, like I was getting other soldiers to get me alcohol and all this. So they were trying to like Article 15 me, they were trying to court martial me because I had lied to an officer, which didn't happen. But me, my team leader, and my squad leader all knew that, there was no really fighting it because she was pretty adamant about kicking me out of the military because I lied to her. Um, which was pretty fucked up, if you ask me. So I don't know if God was on my side or not, but my first sergeant and commander sort of like were pursuing the Article 15s and UCMJ, but eventually I sort of gave up on it and I didn't get an Article 15. I didn't. They were threatening to freaking put my ass in Leavenworth for lying to an officer, which was pretty fucking outrageous. Thank God that didn't happen. Otherwise, there's no telling where I would have been, where I would have gone, and what would have happened. Um, so around that time, I got out, came home, and that is where everything just went downhill completely. Um, so that's just a little bit of an overview of my military experience. Um, everything that I experienced in the military, we will break down the from anything from sexual assaults, sexual advances to um, substance abuse and how they handled it and how they viewed it, how how leadership viewed asking for help and admitting you have a problem and wanting to get that help. There is also repercussions that I faced because I was viewed as weak for asking for help. Uh, so that's pretty messed up, but the military has a weird way of working out. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you got a little bit more of an insight about me from the military perspective. And we will dive into some more topics soon. But for now, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, comment. Any questions you guys got, I would love to see them, hear them. Thank you for supporting me. See you guys soon.